Hello and welcome. Tonight, troops of Operation Lafia Nakoa arrest 2 suspected kidnappers in Taraba State. Farmers and herders in southern Kaduna commit to ending long-standing hostilities and embracing peace. Vice President Kashim Shettima attends 80th UN General Assembly in New York alongside world leaders. And Australia, Canada and the United Kingdom officially recognize the state of Palestine. We begin with security in Taraba as troops from the 6th Brigade of the Nigerian Army have apprehended 2 suspected kidnappers, Ibrahim Umaru and Adamu Malam Musa, in the Garao area of Karim Lamido local government. Now, the arrests were carried out as part of Operation Lafia Nakoa, a sustained effort to eliminate criminal activities across the state. Both suspects, reportedly involved in multiple abduction cases, confessed to their crimes during preliminary questioning. They admitted to demanding substantial ransoms and disclosed that they frequently moved their victims to the Madam Forest in Plateau State to avoid capture by security forces. Brigadier General Kingsley Chidiebere Uwa, commander of the 6th Brigade, praised the troops for their professionalism and dedication. He reaffirmed the brigade's resolve to dismantle criminal networks in the state and encouraged the public to continue providing timely and reliable information to security agencies. Staying in the northeast, as the Adamawa state government continues efforts to maintain peace following the recent attacks on Wadaku and Ringanje communities in Lamorde local government area, a group of concerned youths is urging security agencies to arrest and prosecute those responsible. Speaking at a press conference in Yola, the state capital, the spokesperson for the group highlighted the troubling practice of some youths from a neighboring community openly carrying weapons. They emphasized that unless security forces take decisive action, such behavior could send the wrong signal to those striving to live peacefully.
Waduku and Riganje communities recently witnessed an attack resulting in the loss of lives and the destructions of properties following the attack by the neighboring Sobo community over farmland. The efforts of the governor of Adamawa State, Umaru Fintiri, and security agencies, however, restored relative peace in the area. However, a group of concerned Bachama youth from the affected communities of Riganje and Waduku are raising concerns that the peace is being threatened with the proliferations of arms as they demand for compensation.
Disturbed by the lack of concern regarding the suspected Sobo youth, allegedly engaged in impersonating police and possessing prohibited items, including uniforms, G3, AK-47 rifles, and over 5,000 rounds of ammunition to be used against our people.
We are peace-loving people. We want government to rise to the occasion and do the needful. And in doing the needful, these people use weapons of mass destruction. Those weapons should be retrieved. Those governments should be retrieved. And of course, our houses that were burnt down, our properties that were looted, government should do something about it.
Reacting to this development, the Police Public Relations Officer, Adamawa Command, allays the affairs, saying security agencies are investigating the crisis and those found culpable will face the law.
We have gone extra mile, we have identified the perpetrators, we have drawn a security ring, and we are going to act professionally to ensure that whosoever that is being penciled or is being monitored or is being observed or is being found having in position or doing anything that is threatening the peace of the public is definitely going to be picked.
He therefore appeals to the affected communities to remain calm and assures that justice will be served on those promoting violence.
I am particularly on behalf of the Commissioner of Police and sister security agencies appealing to residents of Rugange down to other areas to remain calm. They should be very cooperative to the security agencies, and we assured them that justice must definitely going to take its course.
Although the Peace and Reconciliation Committee set up by the Adamawa State government has continued to reach out to the troubled communities on its peace-building efforts, while security agencies are on the watch to sustain the peace in the affected area, residents are hopeful that words will be matched with action.
Farmers and herders in southern Kaduna have committed to ending years of conflict and fostering peaceful coexistence. The commitment was made during a rally and symposium in Kafanchan, organized by the Azufra Women and Youth Development Initiative to mark the International Day of Peace. Meanwhile, the Arewa Cohesion for Peace, Unity and Development Initiative has voiced out concerns over the increasing incidence of banditry in the north, urging the federal government to take decisive action to restore security across the region.
In a region long divided by clashes over land and resources, farmers and herders came together to celebrate the International Day of Peace. The event, organized by the Azufra Women and Youth Development Initiative, featured a peace walk, cultural displays, and dialogue sessions, highlighting progress made in southern Kaduna's peace process.
For the past years, if you can observe here in southern Kaduna, there has been a lot of conflict here and there. But with the recent development, we have seen there are changes. Some of the changes come to be in place based on the effort that the government has put in place and the activities of the NGOs.
Government have embarked on this kinetic method of conflict resolution or peace enforcement, which is not the issue. A little kinetic we need, yes, but we need dialogue. So government needs to be involved in all working together with NGOs or civil society that are promoting peace in Nigeria.
Participants shared stories of conflict and loss, but also of hope and reconciliation.
Growing up, I could not even be able to relate with my friends from other religions or from other tribes because of this issue of insecurity. At the point, it even happened in my neighborhood, whereby my neighbors were having conflict among themselves, which was affecting me psychologically.
We have relocated because of the conflicts that have started, but we are now living together because we always visit them. There is no that abuse or harassment that we was getting from them.
At the separate event, the Arewa Cohesion for Peace, Unity and Development Initiative raised alarm over escalating insecurity in the north, urging stronger federal action against banditry.
It is disturbing that at a time when Zamfara, Kaduna, Katsina, Plateau, Benue, and many other states are under siege from armed groups, our elites often find greater pride in staging flamboyant social ceremonies than in convening serious solution-driven summits to address the insecurity destroying our communities. Unless such a change in values takes place, the North risks remaining trapped in a vicious cycle of misplaced priorities and perpetual underdevelopment.
As Nigeria joins the rest of the world to mark the International Day of Peace, this gathering in Kaduna sends a clear message. Dialogue and understanding remains a seed that can guarantee lasting peace.
Still in Kaduna, large parts of the state have been plunged into darkness following the collapse of a major electricity transmission line owned by the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN. According to the TCN spokesperson in Didimba, the incident occurred at Tower 7 along Kaduna Town Lines 1 and 2 in the Rigasa area of Igabi local government. The collapse, triggered by a heavy downpour and windstorm, was exacerbated by vandalism, with critical structural components of the tower found to have been removed. Now, the failure disrupted bulk power supply to several load centers in Kaduna South, leaving thousands of homes and businesses without electricity. However, other areas of the metropolis, including Kinkinau, Yantukwane, and Kabala West, Ungwam, Wazu, and Kaduna North, remained unaffected. Meanwhile, the TCN has directed Kaduna Electric to link its 33 kV Mogadishu feeder with the 33 kV Abakwa feeder to partially restore power to the affected communities. To education, the Gombe State Universal Basic Education Board has announced plans to enroll at least 450,000 out-of-school children in 2025 out of the 789,000 currently not attending school in the state. Speaking at the one-day stakeholders engagement meeting for this year's enrollment campaign, The state government said the initiative is part of a collaborative effort with the Universal Basic Education Commission and the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, to bring street children into formal education.
A report by the United Nations Children's Emergency Fund, UNICEF, indicates that Nigeria accounts for 15% of the world's out-of-school children, with 18.3 million children in the country roaming the streets without access to any form of formal education. The Northeast and Northwest geopolitical zones share 66% of the number. Gombe State in the Northeast currently has about 800,000 out-of-school children, a situation the state government is determined to change as it convenes these stakeholders' engagement on how to boost school enrollment in the state.
By 2030, Gombe State is planning to reduce the number by 50%, and such a situation calls for active collaboration among relevant stakeholders and all those concerned to act urgently in order to tackle the issue.
Among the strategies put in place by the Gombe State government to reduce the number of out-of-school children is the establishment and reinvigoration of Tsangaya schools for Almajiri children through its retention, transition, and completion model.
We have domesticated the Almajiri and out-of-school children bill, and now we have a board which will be responsible for Almajiri and out-of-school children. Then for each local government, we have one model Tsangaya school, and we have 3 bilingual schools whose capacity is 1,000 each. So we are going to, when we mop up these students, we have where we can keep them.
Religious leaders attending the meeting pledged their support to the initiative.
Islam places education at the top. It's one of priorities for Islam. Without education, you cannot understand the Quran, you cannot understand where you are going, you cannot understand the prayers, the zakat, and what have you.
The Christian aspect are raising more awareness in our villages, especially because that's where you discover that people don't actually have time to go to school and even to attend church services. When it rains in the morning, you discover that the church is empty because people have gone to their farms. So a lot of awareness and teaching is going on the need for all children to go back to school, irrespective of their age.
The Gombe State government is optimistic that this engagement with stakeholders, in addition to the recently signed Memorandum of Understanding with UNICEF by Governor Inua Yahaya, the planned campaign to reduce out-of-school children will yield positive outcomes.
Vice President Kashim Shettima will join other world leaders on Monday to attend the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly, scheduled to hold between September the 22nd and the 28th this year. The Vice President, who departed Abuja earlier today for New York, will deliver Nigeria's national statement on behalf of the President, participate in the UN high-level general debates, and engage in side events with world leaders. He is also expected to unveil Nigeria's new nationally determined contributions under the Paris Agreement during the UN Special Climate Event, alongside other key bilateral meetings. In part 2, after the break, River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara seeks prayers as he returns from a 6-month suspension. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Troops of Operation Lafia Nakoa arrest 2 suspected kidnappers in Taraba State. Farmers and herders in southern Kaduna commit to ending long-standing hostilities and embracing peace. Vice President Kashim Shettima attends 80th UN General Assembly in New York alongside world leaders. And Australia, Canada and the United Kingdom officially recognize the state of Palestine. week, Nigeria's National Statistical Office released the inflation report for August 2025. Part of the report showed a month-on-month food inflation rate of 1.65%, while the annual inflation rate eased to 20.12%. Tonight, Babajide Ogunsanya, who is the founder of Leadership by Data and Channels Television's chief data analyst, is right here to share more facts and vital insight about Nigeria's inflation trends and its potential impact on the next policy decision of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Babajide, great to have you again on the news at 10.
Good evening, Ayatunde.
So, the latest inflation report from the National Bureau of Statistics shows that inflation is indeed coming down. Are there other perspectives, to this report?
It depends on how we really want to look at it. There's been a lot of confusion about these numbers. Well, I'll try and explain it a bit. If inflation were a car moving at 100 kilometers per hour, what the NBS is really saying is this car is now moving at 70 kilometers per hour. So, in other words, the car is still moving forward, but it's not moving as fast as it was moving. So, the position we are today is we are in a position of disinflation, not deflation. Now, disinflation is that prices are still rising. However, the speed at which they are rising has significantly come down. So that is what the report states, is that what we're having right now is disinflation, not deflation. Deflation is prices are reversing and prices are coming down. So again, to be clear, prices are still rising, but the speed at which they are rising is calming down. And that is the good news. Let's take a look at exactly where we're coming from, even as far back as at August 2020, because it will allow us to really understand what I'm talking about, disinflation. August 2020, the inflation rate was 13%. 2021, it was even higher, 17%. As at August last year, the official annual inflation rate was 32%. Now, the good news is, if you look at that trend from August 2020, you can see it has kept rising, 13%, 17%, 21%, 26%, 32%. Now, for the first time in 5 years, inflation, yes, is still rising. However, it is now at the rate of 20%. That is the good news. Prices in Nigeria are rising, but the speed at which they are going up is reducing, not that prices are falling. So overall, good news, and kudos to the monetary policy and the fiscal policy programs of the government. Good news. But Ayatunde, here is the bad news. Even though we've looked at inflation at 20%, yes, as a nation, we keep benchmarking ourselves with the sort of countries that Nigerians travel to and want to live in, the United Kingdom, the United States, France. So the question is, when last was the inflation rate in France and the United Kingdom 20%? The evidence we have shows 1975. That is half a century ago. So these nations have lived for more than 5 decades without witnessing inflation of 20%, which we are celebrating today. The United States, never in their old or modern history has inflation hit 20%. Not even during their recessional period or during the World War period. So we need to clearly look at it, especially when you talk about perspective that yes, there's a lot of good news looking at where we're coming from in the last half a decade, but looking at the sort of nations that we want to be like, it is really not so good news.
So, Babajide, what is the true cost of living, in the country as we speak right now? I mean, how much do you need to live, and eat decently?
I probably should ask you that question.
No, but I'm asking you.
But looking at the facts from the National Bureau of Statistics, the goalpost keeps changing. The cost of living and trying to live decently in Nigeria last week is different from this week. It's likely going to be different from next week. It depends on which regions you're speaking to. However, we have some information again officially looking at and trying to aggregate some of this data. And if you take a look at, for instance, one key component which you've talked about, food inflation, the cost of living, the cost of feeding. If we take a look at that data as well, it allows you also to understand that families are feeling the pinch differently across the different regions. If you ask families living in South region, based on the data we have, they will tell you that annual food inflation is 24%. If you ask families living in the Northeast, annual food inflation is 15%. So overall, the evidence we have today shows that food inflation is significantly higher across southern Nigeria than it is in northern Nigeria. And one reason why this is happening, Ayotunde, is that 6-letter word, profits. From the farmers to the wholesalers to the retailers, the trend in behaviors we've seen is that everybody wants to maximize profit. And so the thirst for profit is really also driving the sort of numbers and the cost of food in Nigeria.
So as we round off, Babajide, I mean, the MPC, that's the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank, will be meeting tomorrow. That's from tomorrow, that is. So what sort of decisions are we expecting to see?
Tough decisions, and that's because the evidence shows that prior to now, what we've seen, and if we study the policy rates in Nigeria, what we have seen a trend is the inflation rate is usually higher than the monetary policy rate. Now, for the first time in a long while, we're in a position where the monetary policy rate is higher than the inflation rate. To be able to understand this better, let's take a look at the chart of the week, because it allows us to visualize and to be able to explain the tough decisions ahead of the Monetary Policy Committee this week. Now, the point is, let's take a look at where we were half a decade ago, September 2020. We see that position where inflation rate, 14%, monetary policy rate, 11.5%. So the point is, if you follow that chart all the way to September 2024, inflation rate has always been higher than the monetary policy rate. Look at last year, September 2024, inflation rate was 33%. This time last year, the monetary policy rate was below that, 27.25%. Now we're in a different position. Inflation rate is now 19-20%. Monetary policy rate is now higher, 27.5%. So the question is, what sort of country does the Central Bank of Nigeria want to have? Are we looking at a country where we want the inflation rate to be higher than the monetary policy rate? Or does the central bank governor want the monetary policy rate to be higher than the inflation rate? Whatever he does, both strategies have significant advantages and disadvantages. And I know I'm in a disadvantage of time now, Aitunde, right?
Definitely, we are in a disadvantage of time. But of course, we'll keep our fingers crossed and see what they come up with. That's the MPC tomorrow of the central bank. But, well, better days, hopefully.
Yeah, brighter days, there's really hope, but we've seen it all. Whatever decision, a lot of work needs to be done, and there has to be clarity on exactly what the purpose of the CBN is, and does that purpose match what the president wants to achieve? But more importantly, the most important purpose is the purpose of the lives of the common man, of every Nigerian.
And we'll leave it at that. Babajide Ogusanwo, thank you for your thoughts on the news at 10.
Pleasure is all mine. We'll do this next week today.
In Rivers State, Governor Siminalayi Fubara is calling on the church to remain steadfast in prayers as the administration begins afresh. The governor made the appeal today at St. Paul's Anglican Church in Opobo, his hometown in Opobo-Nkoro local government area. He attended the service alongside his wife Valerie and several state stakeholders. Although the church was celebrating its 2025 harvest, Governor Fubara explained that his own mission was a quiet visit to offer thanks to God for his faithfulness to his family, the state, and the nation.
When my story ends, it is this church that will lead me to my next set of journey. So it's important I come to this church, which is my last home, to say thank you quietly before the Almighty for the numerous things that he has always done, that he's still doing, that he will continue to do, not just in my life or the life of my family, but for this state and for Nigeria at large. We wouldn't have survived it without your prayers. So So we're here to say, first, thank you to the Almighty God, and thank you for these my native people who have always made this sacrifice of fasting, praying for my survival, praying for my health, praying for anything that will bring shame upon my life, that God should remove it. And here now, I'm here to say, God has answered your prayers.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Anambra State Governor Chukwuma Soludo commissions Seraphic Psychiatric Hospital in Aguleri. Please join us again.
Progress no dey happen just like that. It dey come from support when you need help.
Mommy, I got the school fees. You too much.
Na money point oh.
Money point, thank you.
Customer, na transfer abi? Confirm.
Bro, na transfer. Na money point oh. Oh, na confirm.
Progress na peace of mind when you know say payment go land as Sure Banker. Progress na small wind where they carry person go far.
No worry, yourself go make am. Mogo Bible.
Victor, even you they use money point?
Of course now, they use money point.
Confirm.
Money point, made for your progress.
Welcome to Odibet, the ultimate destination for sports betting and thrilling casino games.
It's time to level up your game. Odibet. Bet smart, win big, play with confidence. Unbeatable odds, non-stop action, fast payouts. And it's all safe, secure, and just a click away. Odibet. Bet smart, win big, play with confidence. Odibet.
Confidence is important in life's little moments. Strong teeth can help, even if they get her into trouble sometimes. A great smile is useful to break the ice, and making friends is easier when you know you have fresh breath. I give my family confidence with Pepsodent Triple Protection 123. Its antibacterial action formula gives them cavity protection, white teeth, and fresh breath. The confidence of 3 toothpaste in 1. Pepsodent Triple Protection 123.
Welcome back. In Anambra State, Governor Chukwuma Soludo has commissioned the Seraphic Psychiatric Hospital in Aguleri. The facility, built by the Seraphic Homes Foundation under the Zion Prayer Movement Outreach, is the brainchild of evangelist Chukwuebuka Ubi. The hospital is expected to provide free psychiatric care for people battling mental illness and support for vulnerable elderly citizens.
Just 5 months after unveiling a massive orphanage and elderly care home in Imo State, the Seraphic Homes Foundation has launched the first free psychiatric hospital in Aguleri, Anambra East local government, under the vision of the spiritual director of the Zion Prayer Movement Outreach. Members of the Zion Prayer Movement Outreach thronged the Seraphic Hospital and Elderly Care Home to welcome the governor and the movement's spiritual director. The evangelist, through the Seraphic Homes Foundation, initiated the 600 million naira facility in August 2023. Now fully completed, the hospital will rescue mentally challenged individuals from the streets, reunite broken families, and ease poverty linked to untreated psychiatric conditions, while serving as a model for free, compassion-driven healthcare. Addressing the crowd, the spiritual director commended the governor's developmental strides and revealed that the 500-bed psychiatric hospital will be fully operational in October 2025.
So it has been my dream to have a free facilities for them. And today my dream has come to pass. And do you know that the 7 buildings here can contain like 500 mad people at the same time. About 500 beds. So, is a history. And my plan is that the next week will be Enugu, Ebonyi, Abia.
Governor Soludo has pledged monthly financial support and critical infrastructure, including light, water and roads, for the new hospital. He commended the Seraphic Homes Foundation, stating that its humanitarian project aligns with his administration's healthcare policy.
What you have done is to live out the true essence of Christianity. This is what Christianity is all about. Yes, appreciation. We thank you that you had the presence of mind to have this cited in Anambra. When the way Nigeria is configured, and we now talk about state of origin, you are, if I am correct, your state of origin is Imo. Okay? It's Imo State. Now you did the first one in Imo, the second one in Anambra. And I am calling on all the others, many people who have ministries. Please imitate Evangelist Ebuka.
The event concluded with the governor officially commissioning the Seraphic Hospital and Old People's Home. The governor also toured the facility and planted a commemorative tree, marking the fulfillment of Evangelist's dream to combine faith, compassion, and medical science to transform lives.
Following the recent warning by the Nigerian Meteorological Agency NIMET on possible flooding in several states across the country, the Imo State government, through its Emergency Management Agency, SEMA, has inaugurated local government emergency management committees and launched a 2-day training workshop for critical stakeholders. At the inauguration in Owerri, the Imo State capital, the Secretary to the State Government, Cosmos Iwu, says the initiative is part of efforts to decentralize disaster management to the grassroots, ensuring preparedness, mitigation, response and recovery across all the 27 local governments. Our correspondent, Eitokwe Kute, reports.
Imo State, one of Nigeria's flood-prone regions, has vulnerable coastal communities in Oguta and Owaji Egbema, along the river Niger and Orashi River. In response to NIMET's flood warning, the government has inaugurated local government emergency committees and launched a capacity-building workshop to strengthen preparedness and response. The Southeast Zonal Director of NEMA, Wilson Ibarakuma, commends Imo State for being the first in the Southeast and South-South regions to establish committees and training for grassroots disaster response. He noted that the initiative is in line with federal guidelines. The head of the Imo State Emergency Management Agency, Joseph Odwemenam, on the spot, emphasizes the importance of the committees, describing them as a critical step for an effective local response to any disaster.
This initiative underscores the state's commitment to proactive disaster risk management and align with global framework such as NEDA framework for disaster risk reduction mapped out in 2015 to 2030, which emphasize local actions of the front line of the resistant building.
The importance of the emergency management committees cannot be overstretched. Like, if there is any emergency, it first of all happens at a community, in the local government. The members of the community respond first before other response agencies like the police, fire service, civil defense, and other agencies come later. They don't wait for these agencies to come before they respond.
The Imo State government and chairmen of all 27 local government areas have pledged their full support for the new Disaster Response Committee. The collaborative effort is aimed at ensuring the structures become effective tools for preparing for and responding to emergencies across all local governments in the state.
We will carry this responsibility with seriousness and dedication. All local government chairmen here present will ensure that the 5 nominated volunteers from each local government are not are not just participants in it, but are fully empowered and supported to cascade the knowledge gained from this workshop into our various communities.
What we are doing today is to prevent a disaster, to inaugurate a committee that will monitor the environmental indices, know when action should be taken, when the flood is about to happen, so that they can take necessary action.
With this inauguration of a new system, the Imo State government says it's positioning itself at the forefront of proactive disaster management in Nigeria. Officials say the training will equip volunteers with practical skills from early warning and evacuation to coordination with state and federal agencies. The government believes this development will save lives, protect livelihoods, and strengthen resilience against future floods. Ejitopo Kutei, Channels Television News.
Family members of Mr. Peter Ifaromaye, who was a staff of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, the FIRS, before his untimely death following the fire outbreak at Afriland Towers, a 6-story commercial building on Broad Street, Lagos Island, on Tuesday, say death has taken their breadwinner away from them. The family, however, appeals to the government not to abandon those he has left behind.
Tuesday's devastating fire that gutted Afriland Towers, a 6-story commercial building on Broad Street, Lagos Island, left in its wake the death of 10 persons, one of whom is the manager with the Lagos office of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS. A visit to the victim's home at number 15 Cole Street, Horizon Estate, Igbogbo, Ikorodu, Lagos State, paints a graphic picture of what has befallen the once lively home, as family members can be seen discussing the death of a man described as a giver of hope to anyone who meets him. Speaking on her husband's sudden death, the late Peter Ifaromaye's wife gives an account of how the sad news was broken to her.
Tuesday, he spoke, and he said we'll see later in the evening. So in the afternoon, I chatted him. There was no response. So in the evening, I tried to call again. It was ringing, no response. After a while, I called again. It was switched off. So at that point, I knew something was happening because I know him. Even if you call and he couldn't pick, but when you chat him, he will find time to reply immediately.
Before his death following Tuesday's fire accident, Mr. Peter was a manager with the Lagos office of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS. His daughter and younger brother give an account of who he was.
He's our hero because we learned how to be self-sufficient. We learned how to not, depend on anybody, how to be strong from him, from my mother. That's how they raised us. We don't depend on any other person because we know once we call our dad, he doesn't miss my calls, he doesn't miss my messages. Once I text, he's responding. 2 a.m., 3 a.m., anytime. He's just always there.
My brother left a very big vacuum for me to fill. I'm using this medium to solicit and trusting the Mr. President and Nigeria government. I'm pleading that they should not leave us behind with all this heavy thing, because as presently, I don't even know where to start.
As the family mourn his sudden death, the members say he has left a vacuum and believe his service to Nigeria will not be forgotten by those in authority, given that he died in active service.
The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, the NDLEA, says 2 Brazil returnees, Ofuma Sunday and Ukachukwu Frank Ikechukwu, purportedly expelled 116 wraps of heroin and cocaine they allegedly ingested after days in observatory custody following their arrest at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos. According to the agency spokesperson, Femi Babafemi, the 46-year-old Ofuma was arrested on Tuesday, September the 16th, upon arrival from Laos in Brazil via Ethiopian Airlines at Terminal 2 of the Lagos airport. Another suspect, Ukachukwu Frank Ikechukwu, was arrested on Friday, September the 19th, during inward clearance of Ethiopian Airlines passengers from Brazil through Addis Ababa. Meanwhile, the Plateau State Command of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has destroyed a 5-hectare cannabis farm in the state. In a sting operation, men of the agency stormed the farm located in Langtang local government area, arresting the culprits. Now, the NDLEA also intercepted some ammunition during its operations.
Following intelligence gathered, operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Plateau State Command, stormed Takbul, district of Langtang local government area of the state at night, where a 5-hectare cannabis farm is located.
This is a boundary between Plateau and Taraba.
Bit by bit, they clear the illegal farm, destroying the substances and setting them on fire.
Okay.
Briefing journalists in Jos, the state capital, the NDLEA Plateau State commander gives details of the operation.
In connection with the discovery, 2 suspects have been arrested and are currently undergoing investigation. You may all recall that last month in August 2025, we discovered another farm in Jipal of Mangu local government area, which you were all here, you witnessed it. That farm was about 3 hectares. These repeated discoveries underscore the disturbing trend of our people being drawn into cannabis cultivation, largely because of the financial gains involved.
The command also arrested 2 suspects intercepted with 486 rounds of ammunition concealed in a paint container.
The arrest is yet another indication of the close link between drug trafficking and violent crimes. Apart from this, 1 locally made pistol and a pump action was also recovered yesterday with 6 rounds of live ammunition. We want to use this opportunity to urge the general public and transport companies to always cooperate with our operators whenever they are stopped for search. Transporters in particular must be security conscious and cautious of both passengers and goods they carry.
As the crackdown continues, the commander urged the Plateau State government to expedite the completion of the Rehabilitation and Skills Acquisition Center to support NDLEA's limited facility in reintegrating drug-dependent individuals into the society.
And now to the arts. The Art of Chess is a group exhibition at the Fubali Gallery in Lagos. Chess lovers got a thrill as artists captured the game in their various media, and we see it on Art Review tonight.
For many, chess is just a game, a really intellectual and competitive sport, but for the people in this room, it has moved from the board to the walls, a muse for good and quality works of art.
Art is a global phenomenon and chess is a global phenomenon, and we see a lot of similarity between both. And we use the art and chess to draw a lot of youth attention to art. That's why we combine the art and chess together. And if you see at the gallery today, we have a lot of youth couple from tourism, city heads at the gallery today to identify with art and chess.
This group exhibition, titled The Art of Chess, has seen contemporary creatives churn out captivating images in a variety of media.
This event is a very nice opportunity to meet a lot of chess enthusiasts and also meet some art collectors that love chess, that value chess. And I happen to be an artist that loves to play chess, and I love to paint.
Globally, chess has always stimulated creative minds in words and visual arts.
it's very strategic for us to have this arts and chess exhibition because chess actually cuts across different demography. The old love to play chess. The youth love to play chess. So, and the point of attraction, when we include heart to chess, it actually triggers something inside of us that, oh, let me pay attention to heart. Let me pay attention to chess. What are they trying to do? So today, we have brought a lot of youth into Fubali Art Gallery to play chess, to paint chess, and to paint whatever they want to do.
Art of Chess exhibition took place at the Fubali Art Gallery in Lagos.
In sports news, Nigeria's hopes of qualifying for the 2026 FIFA World Cup took another hit after their 1-1 draw against South Africa on September the 9th in Bloemfontein. Now the result pushed the Super Eagles down the pecking order in qualification, and this is a major concern for football enthusiasts who fear the three-time African champions may miss out of the world's biggest football tournament for the second successive time.
Opportunities for the cross, they're all up there! And Nigeria have tied it up! Calvin Bassey peeling away!
The stalemate against South Africa at the Free State Stadium in Bloemfontein signals an impending World Cup miss for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. As it stands, South Africa sits firmly at the top of Group C of the African qualifiers with 17 points. Benin Republic follows closely with 14 points, while Nigeria is stuck in third place on 11 points, the same tally as Rwanda. Nigeria's qualifying campaign has been marred by sluggish starts, missed opportunities, and a string of uninspiring performances that have further deepened concerns about the declining state of Nigerian football.
Most times, people say, why are you talking about NFF like this? I talk about NFF like this because these are people who have a legacy of failure. I don't owe them any apologies for saying that. These are people who have, over the decades, fallen short of expectations. Why would you hire a coach, a Malian coach? And they say he's Franco-Malian. For what? When you have worthy coaches in Nigeria who can even do the business more than him. What did he achieve with Mali in the first place when he was their head coach?
We should discourage this kind of system that allows only the affluent, only the well-to-do to play football. Football naturally is even not supposed to be a game for the rich. It's not supposed to be, it's a game that has to do with talent, and you don't need to be rich to be talented.
For the Super Eagles, the reality is stark. Qualification hopes are hanging by a thread, and only a football miracle can save the three-time African champions from missing yet another World Cup.
Nigeria, we need to sacrifice. Let's everybody forget about World Cup the next 8 years. If we want to bring the Nigeria we know, of course, if we qualify by chance next 4 years, it's okay for me. But if we really want to get it right, we need, what I see, we need 8 years job to do. Imagine we start with kids of 14, let me say kids of 13 years now. In the next 5 years, these are eagles, that you want to see.
If you check France's football strategy, they do the transition system. And they invested in the coaching philosophy. So because they want everybody to play well. And they did something very important. They made a value, right, whereby
4-0 at the MK Sports Arena in Abeokuta earlier this evening. And the win put the Nigerian representatives in a strong advantage ahead of the return fixture next week. Meanwhile, in the CAF Confederation Cup, Abia Warriors were forced to a 1-0 draw by Mali's Joliba at the Nest of Champions in Uyo. The result puts the Nigerian side in a tough position as they travel to Mali for the return leg of the tie. Kwara United put a brave fight away in Ghana as they narrowly lost to Ashanti Kotoko 4-3. Kwara United will host the Ghana Cup side in the return leg next week. In England, Gabriel Martinelli struck in stoppage time to salvage a dramatic 1-1 draw for Arsenal against Premier League title rivals Manchester City in the Super Sunday clash. Erling Haaland, the Norwegian international, had fired the visitors into an early lead at the Emirates, but City failed to hold out as both sides lost further ground on league leaders Liverpool, who are the EPL champions. Aston Villa remained winless this season after blowing a 1-goal and a man advantage in a 1-1 draw at Sunderland. The newly promoted host, who played just under an hour, a player down after reckless Ronaldo Sored defended stubbornly while offering more goal than out of sorts Villa before a flash of inspiration from Matty Cash saw Villa ahead. And Newcastle were held 0-0 at Bournemouth. In a race that came down to an anchor leg duel between two individual one-lap champions, Botswana has claimed gold in a thrilling men's 4x400 meters at the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo. A world and Olympic 400 meters hurdles champion, Rai Benjamin, was given the baton in the lead for the US on the last leg, while world 400 meters champion Colleen Kebanachipi had the last leg honors for Botswana. Benjamin maintained USA's advantage for most of the way, but in the closing stages he was caught by Kebanachipi, who crossed the line in 2 minutes 57.76 seconds. Benjamin held on for silver in 2 minutes 57.83 seconds, the same time as bronze medalist South Africa. Away from sports news, the UK, Canada and Australia have announced their formal recognition of a Palestinian state. Now, Canada became the first G7 nation to recognize a Palestinian state, while Australia swiftly followed, saying it was part of an international effort for a two-state solution. Meanwhile, some families of hostages held by Hamas in Gaza have strongly opposed the UK's decision, saying the move has dramatically complicated efforts to bring home their beloved ones.
The UK Prime Minister's announcement came out of the need to revive the hope of peace and a two-state solution, said Mr. Keir Starmer.
In the face of the growing horror in the Middle East, we are acting to keep alive the possibility of peace and a two-state solution. That means a safe and secure Israel alongside a viable Palestinian state. At the moment, we have neither.
The Prime Minister warned that tens of thousands have been killed amid Israel's relentless and increasing bombardment of Gaza and the humanitarian crisis. He urged the Israeli government to lift what he called the unacceptable restrictions at the border, stop the cruel tactics and let the aid surge in.
Said that the bigger the lie, the faster it will spread.
The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, in a video released on Sunday evening, accused the leaders of the UK, Canada and Australia of giving a huge reward to terrorism and that there will be no Palestinian state. Netanyahu says that for years he has prevented the establishment of this so-called terrorist state in the face of pressure. He also says a response to the latest attempt to impose a terrorist state on Israel in the heart of the country will be given after he returns from the U.S., where he will attend the UN General Assembly in New York this week. On the other hand, Hamas, which has been designated a terrorist organization, has welcomed the news. The group released a statement on Sunday evening saying, "The recognition is an important step in affirming the right of our Palestinian people to their land and holy sites, and to establish their independent state with Jerusalem as its capital." Hamas, however, wants the move to be accompanied by practical measures that will lead to an immediate end to the war in Gaza and confront settlement plans in the West Bank.
Bonjour à tous. Écoutez, je voulais faire cette petite...
French President Emmanuel Macron commended the news of more countries recognizing the Palestinian state, saying the Middle East is at the beginning of a journey towards peace. He said France wants two states living side by side in peace. So far, 151 of the 193 United Nations member states have recognized the state of Palestine, with more countries intending to make the announcement at the UN General Assembly this week.
And the main news again. The troops of Operation Lafia Nakoa have arrested 2 suspected kidnappers in Taraba State. That's the news at 10. Many thanks for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. You have a good night.